Yeah, hello there, wherever you are. This is Melbourne Real coming to you live and direct from the most livable city in the world, Melbourne, Australia. I'm Tony Jack the Bear Mantz, your host, along with my good friend, Dan the Maps bass player and singer, songwriter.
Hello.
Knower of many things, Martin Green.
Yes.
Good to have you, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, man. Good.
We're doing our first kind of dusk podcast at dusk, so the reason why if it seems a little darker than usual, that's but we thought we just, it's not a little bit different, bit of a different vibe.
Look, we threw a couple of lights together. We chucked a few things around. We did our best. A little bit more moody, I think.
That's all right. It's
mood lighting.
Mood lighting.
It's work.
Whoa.
Hey, I guess.
Who is this voice?
Hey,
what is this all about?
So why don't you introduce our guest for us, mate?
All right. So we've got Grace Dlabik from Iconic 32. Hello, Grace. How are you?
Hello, I'm
Hey,
good.
Grace.
Hello.
All right. Let's get straight into this. Let's not fuck about. Tell us about yourself. Tell us about positive social change.
Okay, we'll get straight into it. No intro needed or anything.
No, the reason we asked is because we went to your website and had a look, and it was like, okay, it's kind of interesting, and I can kind of piece together, but it wasn't clear to me. Certainly not clear to me.
Well,
But
just get this straight. Iconic 32 are my partners in New York.
Okay.
Yep.
And I have my own company here in Australia
GiDi.
called
Which is
GiDi Creative.
GiDi Creative. Right,
Yeah.
right.
Okay.
So
I've been calling it GiDi for the whole
yeah,
time.
everybody calls it GiDi, whatever. It's kind of cute anyway,
I think so,
GiDi.
yeah. I think so too. Yeah.
But yeah, so how that partnership came about was because for many years I've been working on initiating social change through using my platform, which is fashion in the pop culture arena. And so I do that through many avenues, like mentorship programs, sustainable focus clothing, social enterprises, all sorts of different avenues. So that partnership came about because a friend of mine is friends with Malik Yoba, who is one of the directors for Iconic 32 and co-founders. And he is also a bit of a prominent name. He's a Hollywood actor. And so she basically said, you and him are very similar. You need to connect. And I'm the type of person, when somebody says something to me, they say it for reasons. I don't believe in any coincidences in life. I feel like everything is the way it's meant to be.
Synchronous or something?
Connected.
Yep.
Yes, yeah, synchronous. Yeah. Synergized, whatever you want to call it. So I float with that. That's actually how I am with my everyday approach. So I kind of am open to the possibilities that life presents to me. So when she said that, I was like, all right, well, let's hook up. Let's meet one another. He is in New York. That's where he lives. And it took her a few days. And by that stage, I was like, all right, if she's not going to do it, I'm going to do it. So I just tweeted him. And, I kind of go into everything. There's nothing to lose, everything to gain. So I just went into it. I may as well just tweet him and say, hey, we share a mutual friend, Ali. She said that you and I are very similar. Let's explore synergies, ? And that's what I did. I tweeted him and he tweeted back. You
actually said, let's explore synergies?
Yes.
Fantastic.
It's a very elegant way of putting it, isn't it?
It's lovely, isn't it?
Yeah.
It is. And if him and I are very similar, that's the term I use quite often. So I knew that, if he was open, he would pick up on that language, and which he did, because, he has how many thousands and thousands of followers. So I was like, well, I may as well just go for it. And if he doesn't respond, then I can always have my friend introduce us.
Sure.
Oh, hello.
As you said,
Hi,
everything to gain and nothing to lose.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah.
So I, when I tweeted him, he retweeted me back and he said, any friend of Ali's is a friend of mine.
Great.
Let's stay in contact. Let's do this. And so it was a couple of years that we stayed in contact, and every now and then we'd check in with one another via Twitter only. And then at the beginning of last year, I said, I'm coming to New York. Will you be around in June? And he said yes. And I said, okay, great. Let's meet up. Let's explore where our parallels lie. And then and then I said, but before we do that, I want to Skype you and I want to tell you what it is that I'm working on. So you have an intro into what I'm doing. Because, people like him have got are very time poor and have got many projects on the go. He's an activist, the founder of that company, an actor, singer, all sorts of things. So, and he hosts many events and stuff. So he's an MC as well. So, anyway, so I said, let's get on to Skype and do this. And so we did. We had a Skype session. I knew I had about 2 minutes with him before he got bored, or I have to capture his attention really quickly, and so I had to be really succinct with what I was saying to him and what I was doing, and so I just said, that I am. He basically was said to me, "What are you doing? Why are you coming to New York? Are you here for fashion? Are you going to come for fashion?" And I said, "Yes, to some degree, and no to another degree. Yes, that's the platform we're using. No, I don't really give a shit about fashion. I don't care about what you wear. I care about the intention and the integrity of those brands and the power that they're using to be able to clearly say a message. Because, brands in our Western culture, especially, brands hold so much power. And because they hold all that power, I also feel they have that responsibility as well, social responsibility.
Sure.
So, and what are they doing? No one's doing anything really, and so it's like, okay, well, I need to
Speaking of fashion brand, it's ironic though that in this current environment where what you're pushing, a company like American Apparel, who I imagine probably tick a lot of the boxes you would expect of a label.
No sweatshops,
No.
made in LA.
Organic.
No, they don't. Are you saying no?
But
well, go on.
Okay, sure.
well, anyway, to the best of my knowledge, there are no sweatshops,
Ethical.
made in America, organic cotton, fair trade,
Unattractive models.
Yeah, all that kind of,
I was just fucking with you.
But I've heard that they're potentially go bankrupt.
They are.
Wow. See, what a shame. What a shame.
It is a shame, but they're also still very fast fashion as well. I think that
By fast fashion, you mean like turn around and
turn around like that, like
in
bang,
7
bang,
days
bang,
or whatever,
bang,
like
bang.
H&M do.
Yeah. So it's,
okay.
like they may say that they're not doing certain things. I'm not saying they are either because I don't know enough about that. However, I also feel that, as brands as a whole, not only in fashion, but just brands full stop, you need to have relatability to your consumer. And if your consumer demands you to be a certain way, which is more something that they're more relatable to, they will identify with your brand better.
You mean like something like, do you know the Obey brand? You know Obey?
Yeah.
Is
So, I
that
mean, they have a skating culture.
Yep.
They have, so all that stuff, they resonate with their people.
Sure.
So, something generic like American Apparel, which is what it is. It's a very generic, it's just fast fashion. It's just, just this is what's in, this is what's, this is what you should get. There's no
message
heart. There's no message.
Yeah.
There's no heart.
Except for in the
substance.
ads, but potentially I think the ads are usually a bit risque or a bit.
Yeah, they're provocative and stuff, but so what? Everyone's bored of that.
Yeah, sure.
There has to be more than all that stuff.
It's kind of like United Colours of Benetton, right? They were just just pictures of ethnic.
Well, that was progressive for back then.
Right.
It was like this
But
celebration
that-
of different diversity, which someone like American Apparel don't really do. They do risque things, but it's so what? You've got somebody spreading their legs and but what else is there? There's no.
But they
actual
also did
heart.
that other thing that was really provocative too, which is the campaign where they showed that actual AIDS patient who was dying.
This was American Apparel.
No, I'm going back
United
to
Colours of Benetton.
United Colours of Benetton.
That was. I remember that at the time. That was
really...
really,
United Colours of Benetton was a different. They were actually way beyond.
really,
They were really
way ahead of the
progressive,
curve.
way ahead.
Right.
But yeah, so going back to what I was saying, I told him that this is what I'm doing with brands and everything. That it has to be more than they have to use their power, but in order to use their power, they need to be clearly spoken to and guided through how to deliver a message, and that's through campaigns.
Certainly.
So anyway, so I told him that I've been working on this over in Australia, and I showed him some examples of that, and then he just looked at me and he said, and this is the beauty of being open, is he just looked at me and he said, I just started a company 5 months ago that does exactly the same thing.
Hey.
And I don't know anyone else that's doing this, you know. So I, you know, it was just a beautiful alignment of
Very serendipitous
universal
thing.
powers pulling us together, you know, and being open to that. So, so that was the beginning of a partnership that we launched last year in July in New York. In conjunction with Common, who's a
Rapper?
From
yeah,
Chicago, yep.
yeah, yes. You know your hip hop artist.
He does.
You do too. What are you
he knows
talking
real
about?
hip hop. He knows real hip
You
hop.
know,
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
come on.
Yeah, yeah.
Common.
He knows. He knows.
Look,
He knows.
I
Yeah.
think everyone's
Anyway,
heard of him.
Anyway,
Everyone. He's
Yeah.
common as mud.
It's Common.
Yeah.
He's Common.
Yeah.
So we launched last year in New York, and you know, it's what we're building takes a lot of work because what we're building is a big company. You know, we're not just doing a small...
and changing the hearts and minds of people too.
Yeah.
You're there to change people. You know, because people are so dominated by the media being so negative and so dour, and so getting into people's attacking subversively, you know, or by stealth, you know, getting into their self-esteem, just making people feel more shit than they actually are.
Yeah.
You know, so
just really trying to empower people.
Yeah, totally, exactly.
That they actually have the choices of changing the world.
So if what you're doing is it's big, and it's big, but it's very big in terms of socially. The shift of mindset it's got to start somewhere.
It's got to start somewhere.
You know.
And the argument could be like, well, how can you support a corporation like Nike by saying to them, right, your messages have to be better and clearer and more impactful, you know, in terms of the hand holding of how they can deliver the Just Do It campaign, for example, right? So, for example, they use people like Serena Williams and LeBron James to be profiled for the deliverance of the Just Do It campaign.
Right.
And the Just Do It campaign is meant to be just do it. Just go for your dreams. Just take a leap of faith. Just do it. And
with shoes on, preferably.
With a little flashy little...
Yeah, with a little.
You heard
tick.
LeBron James? I heard today.
I heard he can dunk. That's all I've heard.
$1 billion apparently. I heard was the money touted
Yeah,
for him.
apparently.
That's what I heard. I mean, I can't substantiate it, but shit.
Wow.
Yeah.
Even if it's $500 million, I mean, fuck it.
But isn't this an easy sell? Like if you're trying to sell this into them, because it's a marketing campaign, effectively,
is,
right? It's an easy sell, right? Like Tom's shoes, for example. You know, buy a pair of shoes, another pair of shoes exactly the same goes to some kid. The only problem is they don't fit him.
Yeah.
That's the problem. But other than that, you know, buy a pair of shoes. We give another pair of shoes away. That's a really cool thing. And so for anybody who's starting to, any general public Jimmy Punchclock who's starting to recognise it's better to look after people is probably going to prefer to buy that product. You know, knowing that something's made out of sustainable bamboo or cotton
Hemp
or
Yeah,
whatever, right?
but you know, there's a lot of people that don't think about this.
There's a lot of people that don't give a fuck.
Yeah, they don't-
H&M are massive. Why?
Awareness, because it needs to be brought to their attention.
It needs to be brought to their attention. They don't know. You know, they don't know how that impacts certain people. They don't think about it.
Well, they don't think how they can get a dress for $30. A dress, you know, how's that possible?
They're not provoked within their minds of how to think about where that comes from, who's made it, how it's been made.
Yeah.
So the transparency needs to happen as well. So there's many things that have to shift within these corporations, and the hand-holding is what we do. The strategy behind it is what we implement. So we're working on a very strategic basis.
You have to be.
Yeah.
But it's also a big emotional element too. It's like appealing to people's emotions, because that's how the negative end of it works too. It's getting them when they're vulnerable, or not that you're making them vulnerable, but just getting their emotions to that point and then hitting them there. So it's a much stronger message. It hits harder. It has more.
Well, that's what I mean
retention.
by resonating.
Yeah.
It has to speak the language.
Yeah.
And the problem is with corporate organizations is they're money punchers. They don't understand who their consumer is properly. They don't have a proper identifying kind of relatability to their consumer. So that's bringing me back to what I was saying with LeBron James and Serena Williams. They're so high profiled that they're unattainable, the levels of what they've reached. They're so high. They're 2 people out of 7 billion people in the world that have managed to make it to that level. Now, that to some little kid in like Doveton,
Punxsutawney, Wisconsin,
the Bronx, wherever. That is so out of reach for them that they don't even know how to begin to get to that level, to just do it, to get there.
It's getting them to climb Everest before they can crawl.
Exactly. So how can Nike, for example, do a better way of handling their campaign? And so that's what we work on. The strategic, either it's mentorship programs or, we have clinics that we run, sports clinics as well, depending on which side we're working with Iconic 32. But yeah, just so that they have a better message. Now, we're doing one side of it, which is, the end result. We're not innately working within the structure of how they do the manufacturing side of it or anything.
Sure.
So there's been arguments about, well, how can you support a company like Nike that has sweatshops, that has, all these bad...
Effectively slavery.
Ethical manufacturing. And the thing is, change has to start somewhere, right? So I can sit back and just be like, they can just keep running these Just Do It campaigns. They can still make millions and millions and millions of dollars every year, knowing that what they're doing is just, massive capitalist society, just like, I don't know how much they make per year or whatever, but, exponential kind of amounts of money that they're making. Or we can start to work on the structure of planting seeds as we go along. Once you plant seeds, you know that if you nurture that, it can grow.
Couldn't you also say that you could just work with another company?
Yeah, but I mean, no, but that's. I mean, I'm using that as a metaphor, like an analogy of having Nike and then having any other company.
There's got to be a billion companies in the world or something like that.
So you'd start with just smaller companies, but again, just
well, we're working with we're working with big pictures. We want to change,
good.
So we've got.
So you feel happy about taking, the devil himself and changing him effectively. You're happy to work with these companies that are killing people, daily, and gradually start to change them, or would you say you'd prefer to take on somebody who isn't murdering people for profit?
No, I think I want to be able to make massive amounts of impact wherever I can.
Wherever you can, okay.
And if that has to be that I take on
the big guys and
the devil,
yep.
then I take on the devil.
Yep.
If it means that I work with, slightly converted people already, I'm happy to do that too.
Yeah, cool.
But I do it on many different levels. What I'm doing with the brands and what I'm doing in community is all, it all comes hand in hand with the ethos that I have, which is, actually just changing the world, and that I have nothing to lose and everything to gain. I have nothing to lose, everything to gain. So I may as well just go for everything, and, we only have the time we have in this lifetime. I don't know when my days are up. I have no idea, but all I know is what I have now. And so if I effectively work towards everything that I want to change in this world now, and that I am consciously making an effort, then, I'm serving myself and also
mankind.
And what I feel like my purpose is,
This is what you and I were talking about on the phone the other day. This is what I was trying to explain. I think you got it, but it was about this whole thing of if you're going out and doing the work that you're doing, the work that I'm doing, just as an inspirational speaker, the stuff you espouse, you really need to live that shit. It's not if there's going to be integrity in what you're doing, you can't jump on in front of a camera in your case, or go on social media, put the you know, the image, if you will.
Yeah.
And then when
Nothing
you're at home,
to do, yeah.
you're just kind of like, you're
Yeah.
still the same, but do you know what I mean? But you live it. You basically live
Well,
it all the time.
I definitely live it. You
Yeah,
know,
no, that's very evident.
I definitely live it, and I've come out of all of this experience. Like, I started in the industry when I was 18. I'm 36 now, and so half of my life has been in this industry. And I started after I had my son. So my son has like high special needs, and so after I had him. Before I had him, I was designing for FUBU, which was the biggest streetwear label coming out of America. And I was living this extreme life. So I had this very paradox life. So I was living this extreme life where I was like traveling the world. It was really hard, but sounded really glamorous, but it wasn't. It was really hard and taxing. Traveling the world, going on buying trips, designing for FUBU, going in and out of New York and everything. When I was like 19 was my first trip to do this.
Crazy.
So huge, huge life. And then when I was 23, I had my son. And, faced with complete adversities and, basically prompted me to find out what the fuck are we here for? Just to question it, because,
What do you think that is?
Well, I think each of us have our own purpose, and it's intricately woven into us. We actually all have our own place in this world, but we have to collectively work together. And I think that's when, either we reach utopia or I don't know what it is, but I know that I know that ultimately that every part of your being and every part of your journey that you've had throughout this lifetime equates to where you need to be.
Right.
But you have to be open to it as well.
Of course.
So
I couldn't agree anymore.
yeah. So anyway, so I, when I had my son, it prompted me to really explore all of this. What are we here for? What are we doing? What the fuck is going on? I had this materialistic, superficial world that in society's mind is,
Yeah, the ultimate. That's
the ultimate.
That's what it's about.
Yeah, that's what it's about. Get money, get this
get
and that,
paid,
get
Get that
paid.
paper,
Paid.
son. Yeah, sure.
You know what I mean? And then I was, faced with this extreme other side of life, and I was just like, that world is so far beyond anything that means anything to me. This means so much more to me. So, that really prompted me to start the dialogue within myself, or not just the dialogue. It had to be with my head and my heart, and the two together of questioning, what are we here for? So, I had to be still for a while. I had to be really still and listen to myself, and actually, like, before we started running this podcast, I was just talking to Jack about surrendering. The importance of surrendering. Yeah. And I really had to learn that. I mean, I was 23. I really had to really learn to just be open, to allow a peaceful mind with what I was experiencing.
What were you doing? Were you meditating or?
At this point, no. Like at the start of his life and stuff. Like I just wanted to fucking scream. Like I just wanted to be angry. I didn't want people to say, "Oh, you're the strongest person I know. Anyone can get through this. It's going to be you." I was like, "Fuck you. I don't want to have to deal with this. I don't want this. Like this is unfair. I haven't done anything to hurt anybody or whatever. So, I had to go through the motions. I think to surrender is like allowing yourself to just be free to do what it is that you innately want to do.
And I think have that sense of, as I told you, I've only recently having my own experience of that, and that's to just let go of the need for control.
Yeah.
And
well,
know
none of this was in my control at all.
And you got to navigate your boat in the river, but just because the river's going left, even though you're right, but you can see above the terrain and see that's where I'm going. So you can relax more in the knowledge that you're knowing that you are going to go where you're going. Yeah. Whether you want to look at it as a predetermined thing or what have you, but you can relax, enjoy it, and do your thing. And it's easier. It's less stressful. It's just you're more in flow with life. And So exactly.
Yeah, and
you're fortunate that you've been able to find it now. At 23.
I know.
I'm 52, and I'm only just
Yeah.
Just getting it now.
Yeah.
Really, getting it now.
Yeah.
You know? But-
I really had to. Like I didn't know it back then. It took a number of years, but I was fortunate enough to go to an alternative school that I guess gave me some fundamental values for that. Like I went to a Steiner school.
Steiner? Yeah, my kids went there for a couple of years, yeah.
Yeah, so I went to a Steiner school and so I learned how to see peripherals from a young age, you know, rather than just see what's in front of me, just see beyond all of that stuff. And that's through a lot of different...
Not as left brain kind of style stuff and teaching the kids about more like the Renaissance and history and art and just a much more
motor
holistic
movement skills, the importance of farming, you know, planting a seed, nurturing it, watching it grow, loving it, then taking what it has to offer to you. And that's the cycle of life. So I think, you know, and also monumental books of history as well, where you actually start thinking about how civilization was made and, you know, the value of community and all these other different aspects of my childhood and growing up in a Steiner school. But so I had a few fundamental things that helped me guide myself through this experience of having my son. And so I had to sit with it, let it be what it was, grieve it, go through the motions. Everything was relevant to how I feel. And that's the thing. Like so many people say to me, oh, but I can't compare my life to yours because yours is so full on. And I'm just like, no, it's relative to you and how you feel, because that's important that you own that stuff. And I owned my stuff, my experience, and yours is just as important to you as it is for me to go through whatever I went through.
It's all about context, isn't it?
It is
and
context,
perspective.
it's relative, you know. So anyway, going through all of that, I started working in the industry again after a number of years of having some time off, and then I just started to feel really jaded with just working in this industry and just feel like, oh, I mean, I just don't give a fuck of what you wear. Just wear whatever. You know, I just was like, this doesn't mean anything to me. I just could not care. I mean, if you're serving your purpose in terms of, you know, what it is that you want to do and how you want to present yourself and all that kind of stuff, that's fine. But if it's all superficial, you know, whatever's in fashion and I have to be whatever's in fashion and you don't have to be any of that.
So it's meaningless. So you took what you were good at and you gave it, and you're giving it meaning.
Yeah. Well, you know, ultimately, like that's what it came to. So when I was 33, fast tracking a little bit further, I had a life epiphany. I literally woke up one day and I woke up. I was like,
Wow.
Actually, what I have been feeling so jaded about and like feeling that I don't like this industry and everything, this is my platform. And I'm rightly in the midst of it with all my networks and all the power that I have to make the difference through all the stuff that I've learned through my son, through all the things I learned at Steiner, whatever, you know. So I worked out how to pull everything together, and I realized that I'm exactly where I need to be. I was exactly where I needed to be
What
to
a surprise.
do
But we
What a
always,
surprise.
but again, like I said, if you're open to it, you always are. Really,
You always are.
You always are.
Yeah, you're exactly where you need to be, because everything that happens for reasons. And, you know, whatever happens, it's teaching you fundamental lessons. The way to come out of it, knowing those lessons, is to be as open as possible to them.
Yeah.
Separating your ego from everything.
And to actually learn it, because someone like myself has had to be beaten over the head a few times.
Yeah.
You know, but again, you know, there are many people that will go to their graves never fucking getting anything.
No.
They'll be angry. They'll be this. They'll be victims.
Yeah.
They'll and I've seen a few, and I've known a few who have.
Yeah.
And it's sad to see. However, maybe that's their journey. Again,
Maybe that is their journey.
Maybe that is their journey, and so you know what, and that's fine too.
Yeah.
So just focus on
Yeah.
my journey.
I think that's and that's the importance. And you know, if you can, so once I realized all of that, then I started to formulate how I could strategically make this all happen. And then now it's kind of come to the point where I'm ready to kind of embark on this journey in New York, collectively with people that are of the same value system and also of a similar purpose, and we're working collectively together. And I think that if everybody worked, like did their own thing to be their best, working on themselves, and then collaborated with people to share all their knowledge and everything with one another, we're really working on something. We can work on something to change the world.
But if
all of us.
everything,
What stops people from doing that? What do you think?
Ego.
Money.
Ego.
Yeah.
I mean, that's the money, greed, whatever. It's all ego.
It's all ego.
It's all ego.
It's all fear and
Completely. It's mine. It's, rather than, the opposite, which is, this is my experience, but I'm the facilitator of this experience. So I'm the facilitator of what's happened in my life and how I can deliver that. Now I can't just do it on my own. I have to share all of that stuff. So I have to let go of ego and attachment to ownership and share it.
Yeah. Could you say though that as everyone does their bit in a weird way or interesting way, there still is a synergy? It's like you look at your body, your heart and liver and spleen and everything run independently of each other. But they still collaborate. They still work collectively, but they're still independent of each other. So, so even just by you doing your thing and doing the best you can at your thing, in itself is collaborating.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. Well, we are, all of us. Every breath we take is in collaboration with the universe, so it's all a unified force,
every move we make.
Every move we make, everything we do, everything, microorganism, everything.
You're like you're like that Commentaries. We talk. Sorry, I know I'm going a bit of a tangent, but I just have to the Dennis Cometti who commentates by using lyrics and different pop songs. Right. He'll just find a lyric.
Does he?
So he's just been weaving some little bit of bit of police every breath you take.
A couple of pearls every once in a while.
Just it's just.
It's always a music reference with you,
hey?
Yeah,
always. just for Craig. Yeah.
Always funny.
But so we have to work at this all together.
Yeah, nice.
It's not my job and your job and whatever. It's my job to work with me, but then it's my job to then push it out there to the rest of the world. And I have a long way to go. I'm not proclaiming to be.
What's the reception been like?
Oh, it's been interesting actually. It's been very, very interesting.
You've sat down with some brands, obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've started to really work on the strategy, and it's selling.
Yeah, and there's no surprise that it's
massive sales increases.
Just look at McDonald's. I mean, they're a company that everyone knows is effectively going under. They're doing
everything. Have you seen their menu? It's
all day
completely
breakfast.
Changed.
All day breakfast. No more 10:29 a.m. You can't get a fucking McMuffin.
No. They have a whole new gourmet range of everything. And they have like fries with guacamole and salsa.
Oh, I saw a poster.
Yeah. I've been seeing
loaded
stuff
fries.
everywhere. Yeah.
But
it's like they're trying to change as much as they can, because you know why? Because long gone are those days that people don't give a shit about their bodies anymore, especially in Australia, especially in Melbourne, as well.
Or being a food city.
We are a foodie city. Yeah,
I think they've got one of the fuckedest campaigns I've ever seen. And that is how very un-McDonald's of us.
What
a fucking crazy thing to say. If you're trying to promote your brand, you're promoting your brand by not promoting your brand. Saying it's the opposite.
But that's kind of clever, though.
Isn't it?
It is, because
you're promoting your brand by saying
we're pulling away from that.
We're not
we're
that
evolving.
anymore.
No, we're evolving. We're changing.
Yeah.
We're up with the times.
Yeah.
We hear you.
Yeah.
We're speaking your language, as you were saying before. So,
Yeah, and that's an example of, speaking the language, resonating with the people, their consumers. They're
finally starting to listen to focus groups. And
it is pretty shit though that you have to wait till the public wakes up before you stop killing people and destroying their bodies.
But that could be said of anyone changing. You could say the same thing could be said of an individual. It's a shame we had to wait until this guy was this overweight and was this addicted to drugs and was this much of a cunt.
Yeah, absolutely.
Sure, on a small scale, but nonetheless relative.
Yeah.
And, you know.
But that usually is the only way we kick people up the asses.
Yeah.
Is by something significant happening that
Yeah.
makes a penny
I'll-
drop, and
I'll
people
tell you-
just
I'll
say,
tell you what, I've
"Fuck,
had-
we've got to wake up."
I've had more jabs in the arse than a tight hooker, so I know that one really well.
Well,
Yeah.
it's just money. As soon as the profit margins
Yeah.
drop below a point, somebody
Well,
gets in and goes, "What's
unfortunately,
going on?"
that is what drives them to make
it
those
is.
changes.
Yeah, still,
However, it still impacts
but
society better.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
And
Like,
after
so-
a while, if it sustains it, then I'll realise, there's a correlation here.
But
Yeah.
it is
Interesting, you know,
It
and
is
it
great
could
advice.
change the culture.
Yeah.
But it is
Which
very
ultimately is what you want.
It's
Yeah.
very good advice though when you do have people jumping up and down, either talking to me or on Facebook, going, "Fuck, I hate these guys, man. They're always doing blah 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 blah." Whatever brand they're complaining about, and the simple solution is stop buying it.
Yeah.
Stop giving these guys money, and they'll make changes. You know, why do you think the organic section in fucking Costco or whatever has expanded the way it has?
Yeah.
It's because
But people
that's what they
are
want.
still negative and like to hang shit on stuff. There's
People
for sure.
love
that
to hate.
Yeah.
Of course they do.
People
Of course they do.
love to hate. I mean, you know, yeah, it's interesting because ever since I've started to walk this line of purpose, I've been finding more and more people hating on me. It's
sure,
really,
for sure.
really bizarre.
Because
And
they're
it's
going to
hard.
make changes, right? They don't want
And also, like, anyone that's walking within their purpose, like, or shining a light, or, you know, just doing their own thing, doing
positive,
you.
showing a degree of success. No one wants to hear about that.
No, nobody
because
does.
you're
It's incredible.
because you're affecting other people's sense of significance.
Yeah.
And our primary fear is we're not good
to be
enough.
insignificant.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we're not good
Comparing
enough.
themselves
So,
to you.
like, you can't have the tallest, you can't have the tallest building in town.
Yeah.
I'm going to fucking tear your thing down. Rather than, hang on, let's
Yeah.
try and all build a tall building
Yeah.
and build a beautiful skyline.
Yeah.
Yeah, then just have one solitary fucking building with just rubble and everyone
Yeah.
just, yeah.
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 And that's not the ultimate goal of everything that I'm doing. It's just that the spotlight has been on me a little bit. And you know, I mean, it's just because I'm doing this stuff. I'm not asking for it. They're just coming to me, you know. And so I'm just like, well, I'm going to be a voice. And I've spoken to a number of prominent people who have, you know, asked celebrities and stuff about this. Not that I'm a celebrity, but I am being highlighted and showcased. And so I am in the public view, and people will pick on all sorts of different things that they can. And so, you know, I've always been the person behind the camera.
Yeah.
I always make things happen behind the camera. I make it and push it out there and just be like, you know, it's all superficial stuff. And ever since I've changed the whole thing, and I am now being more in front of the camera and, you know, and talking about what it is that I'm doing, because, you know, I'm being a voice and adhering to everything. I've just noticed that there's so much more people that are hating on it,
Yeah.
which is so weird, because I'm actually not doing anything like that's intrusive to anyone, or
You're not directly bothering or...
or just like saying anything really
You're going out there expressly to just fuck their day, yeah.
Or, you know, I'm coming from a place of love, really.
Yeah.
That's ultimately what it is. It's the love for myself, the love for my life that I've lived, my son and my experience, and then sharing that outwardly to try and implement change. That's really, and we really we're in fucking need of having more love and compassion in this world, badly.
There's no doubt about that. Yeah.
So, you know, so fuck everyone who's like,
Fuck everyone who's not down with that.
We need more love, but fuck them. Yeah, I like that.
That's right.
That'll be a great slogan.
yeah.
I love you all. It's like, I love that Jesus meme. It was like, where he's pointing out and he's drinking. He's saying,
Yeah.
I love everybody at the time except you. You're a cunt.
Yeah, that's right. I was talking to a guy the other day, our friend we were just talking about earlier on, who starts with Al, that guy. And he's starting a clothing label, him and his mates and all that sort of stuff. And we were sitting around talking about stuff. And I said, well, like, I'm in marketing. I'm in, you know, I love to promote things and talk about starting up of businesses and stuff. And it was amazing how his focus was just on the profit, and how he's found a place that they can go through to get some stuff made in China, and it's going to be really, really cheap, so that there's this and that. I'm like, so what is the main thing? You know, he goes, oh, you know, t-shirts and designs and stuff. I go, but do you have a point? Do you have anything about it? And he says, what do you mean, man? Like, what are you getting at? I'm like, well, example. And I said, you know, look at the Tom's situation. You know, you buy a pair of shoes goes there. You think about all the people who would be down with that. You think about how many people are just going to buy the shoes just because of that. Have you ever thought about giving something back? And instead of just finding the cheapest possible manufacturer, that means your shirts are probably going to fall to pieces. Have you thought about spending more money, charging more, still going to have some degree of, reasonable degree of profit margin. But when people buy your shit, they know they're getting something back. They're
getting value.
There's
It's all about value.
There's some degree of ethics. I mean, look at Gorman. Gorman is, it's all organic. It's, they've got an ethic, and they're right there on Brunswick Street and all over the place, and
Except it's owned by Factory X now.
Is it really?
Yeah.
Well, that's a shame, isn't it? It appears. Appeared like it was a good thing.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's still good.
They're still doing some good things.
Yeah, they're still doing some good things.
As I was saying before,
local
the message,
manufactured in Australia,
as opposed to the messenger.
Great. Keeping jobs here.
Yeah, but as you're saying, on your point, to further that, all companies should implement some sort of social responsibility within the structure of how they run.
Sure.
There's no reason why it shouldn't be that way.
I think they all kind of do their own little thing, like McDonald's. I mean,
I don't think so.
They do the McDonald's.
No, I'm not just talking about massive corporations. I'm talking about every single company that exists.
Yeah.
They support something, especially if it's, a tax deduction as well for them. There's actually nothing for them to lose out on. You can actually give that away.
Well, I think again, it's that whole abundance thing, isn't it? You become more abundant by being abundant yourself, and so regardless of the percentage, I have a foundation. One day every 4, 5, 6, just depends, but say 8 to 10 times a year, I'll work a whole day and just tell people, you just give me a donation, whatever you want to give me. And all the money we get on the day will go to a charity, and we try and keep something that's small and grassroots, where we know that most of the money will be used for the actual running of the organisation, rather than for the CEO's lunch and stuff like that. So sometimes I'll do it once a month, sometimes but you're right. I think everyone within their capacity, everybody can, I'm sure, but again, it's all relative. But I guess, as you said, as long as that is part of the ethos of the company, that they give something back, and they do so just because. I think
structurally, it should just be the way.
Thing,
it should just be the way that we are.
Yeah.
If we know that we can change somebody's life just by doing simple things, we should all do that. I mean, we do it individually. We can, every year you can donate X amount of dollars to Oxfam or something. You buy all your gifts from Oxfam, but for the general public, that notion of what we're talking about does not exist.
Even at just a simple level of looking after your staff. I mean, you think about the amount of companies that I can think of. I mean, I've worked for
shitloads,
9 companies or something, and things may start out right, but it doesn't take too long before money takes precedence over us as staff. Yeah. And everyone just leaves. And you think about some of these
Google's pretty good like that. I think they should use that as an example of how to.
Texan company the other day that gave $100,000 to everybody, and it's everybody, including the janitor's got $100,000.
Wow.
Just a bonus. There you go.
Yeah. I remember once seeing a doco a long time ago now. I was probably in my 20s, but it showed a model in Brazil of a factory where there is a hierarchy. However, all the doors are always open to all the levels. So someone on the ground floor can go straight up to the top brass and say, boss, there's something down here, something going on, there's a change in the culture, I don't know, whatever the issue is at the coalface. The bosses just go straight down. And in fact, what they do is that the middle and senior management spend time on the floor with the workers so that they can experience what they're experiencing to get some sense of empathy. So when some new kid comes up and talks about a bullying issue or whatever, you know what I mean? Or there's some OHS issue or what have you, they're on it. And everybody shares in, there's a sharing thing at the end of profit, so profit share. So again, there's incentive for the workers, that they work harder, they get rewarded.
Well, I mean,
beautiful stuff.
The more you have team morale, I mean, it comes down to nurturing one another.
Champion team will beat a team of champions, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yes. Exactly. And that's one side of it, where structurally things can change internally within the system for each company. But, how do they impact other people outside? And I think that comes from good leadership, and because we become a product of our environment. So if we're faced, if we're somebody who doesn't have this kind of notion, we go into a company that implements this within their system, and then they do that internally and then do that externally too, to impact other people around. I mean, it just becomes a growing chain reaction.
Of course it does. Of
you know,
positivity.
Yeah.
of positivity.
Yeah,
And really, like, you know, I mean, yes, I'm a true romantic, clearly.
That's okay.
But, you know, I'm also a practical person. You know, I know what it's like to, you know, right now I live with our friend because I have to.
Yeah.
I have to. Everything I earn goes back into what I believe I'm supposed to be doing. Every single thing, which means that we, you know, sacrifice a lot. It means that we sacrifice things like food. So simple as food, you know, like we might be eating lentils and rice for like a whole week or whatever, just so I can do something that moves towards what I'm supposed to be doing.
It's important.
But that's, I mean, because like a lot of people get this misconception of like who I am and everything. And so they always think that I'm so glamorous and there's this me doing this styling and creative direction and, you know, on film sets and, you know, whatever, video clips and whatever. But, you know, I do that, but that's not who you are. That's not your identity. Who I am, and that's not what I'm sacrificing to live out what it is that I am passionate about and what impact I want to make in this world. So, so people need to just know that it's like it's real. Like there's some real shit going on, and you know.
So what's next? You're moving to LA. Moving to New York.
New York. So we're moving as soon as this visa gets cleared.
Yep.
We're up and away.
Great.
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
All right, we better call it here.
Yep.
All right.
Nice one.
Well, listen, thank you so much for coming in and having a chat. It was a great chat. We'll have to
Thank
get you
you,
again
You're
next
welcome.
time when if you go and come
Maybe
back
you can come
and
to New York.
and tell us
Take that microphone with you. Yep.
so
Grab a couple of mics.
So tell us
Bring the dog.
so where can people find you on the internet?
They can find me. My best bet would be on Twitter or on Facebook, which is GiDi Love _love, GiDi_love, or GiDi Creative, GiDi Creative. On Facebook.
We'll be putting some stuff.
Yeah, cool. And, you know, if you want to see some work and stuff, you can check out the website, www.gidicreative.com. And also I'm on Instagram and everything, so you can see some of my work there as well.
What's your Instagram handle?
Same thing, GiDi Creative.
Okay,
Yeah.
right.
Everything is GiDi Creative.
Easy.
Yeah.
All right.
Easy.
You can catch me Twitter, Jack_the_bear, Instagram at JackTheBear1060, and Tony Jack the Bear Mantz on the Facebook.
Damnthemaps.com.
Alrighty, so we're going to go. Thanks again for being a great guest. Good
You're
luck with
welcome.
all your future endeavours, and
Thanks, you
it sounds
too.
like you're onto a really wonderful thing there.
Yeah.
And thanks, Martin.
My pleasure.
And as we always say when we sign off, or as we have been saying lately,
Say it.
be nice to each other, but more importantly, be nice to yourself. All right, take care, guys.
Peace out. Cheers.